Hello, everyone. So, today I thought I would share a special part of my son's bedtime routine with you. So, just to let you guys in on my son's nighttime routine. He is 6 months old. So, at about 6:30, my son and I will eat dinner. We'll listen to music, or if my family comes over to dinner, we'll have a nice conversation. After dinner, my son will be rinsed up in the sink, and I will set him on the floor to play for a few moments while I clean up our dishes and our cooking mess. And then we go upstairs, and he has his nighttime bath with Bubbles and his toys. And after his nighttime bath, he gets lotion put on him, and we put on a pair of jammies, and we come back downstairs, and I turn off all the lights except one lamp, and I make him a bottle, and we sit on the couch and snuggle. He snuggles up in his mama's arms, and I read to him a story. Now, we have just recently moved, and his father works nights, so David is at work when Mason and I are doing these things. So we do this to set him off with sweet dreams. And it helps him settle down a little better. Now, as I said, we moved closer to our local library. And I go and I get books for my son. And I thought that I would maybe share a nighttime story with you. So, I will show you all the books I picked out for him, and then we will choose which one to read. I got him a lot of the classic books with like folk tales and stuff, and a few just cute books. This is our library bag for our books. It's pretty crinkly, so I'm just going to set it over here. This was the book we read last night. It's called 10 in the Meadow. And as you can see, all of the little creatures are furry and soft and snuggly looking. It was quite cute. And that's by John Butler, if you would like to look that for yourself. This one is called Snuggle Wuggle by Jonathan London. And the pictures are done by Michael Rex. My son and I have not read this one yet. Then there is Hush, Little Baby by Sylvia Long. And that appears appears to be a squirrel or a mouse on the cover. That one's cute. Now, my son's Gigi, his grandma, my mother, read to him The Old Woman and Her Pig. But my son was a little too awake, and he wanted to grab the pictures. So he wasn't very interested when we kept taking the book away from him. This one is one that's my favorite. It's The Gingerbread Man. I love this story. The Gingerbread Man. This one might be the one we read tonight. It's one of my favorites. Then I got him Paul Bunyan. And I want to show you the picture on the back because I think it's very cute. It's very Americanized. And this is a classic tall tale retold by Steven Kellogg, like Kellogg cereals. This one looks good too. This is Jack and the Beanstalk, which I don't believe I ever read the story myself, but with all the jokes and things, I'm sure I figured it out. I did, when I was younger, have a great collection of all of the fairy tales in this wonderful bound book with gold-lined pages. That was a very special book. It was a gift to me. And unfortunately, I no longer have it because it was damaged when I was younger. I was about a teenager at the time. Then there's The Pied Piper's Magic. Now, I never heard this story until I was watching Mickey Mouse. So Disney did a rendition of The Pied Piper. So that's a very interesting one. And the last one I got him, oh no, this is not the last one. I also got him The Three Little Pigs. And almost all of the last, what is it, the last 4 books that I've shown you are all classic fairy tales that have been retold by Mr. Steven Kellogg. So, you might want to look into him. This was the story my son and I read tonight. It's The Little Red Hen. So, this one is by Christiane Jones. So, let's see. Which one shall we read? I think we'll read Jack and the Beanstalk. Because I love the drawings on this picture. So, this is Jack and the Beanstalk with pictures, and it is retold by Steven Kellogg. And I'll open it this way so you all can look at the pictures while I tell the story. this is my local library. It's the Handley Regional Library Division. The specific library that we go to is the Bowman, but the Bowman is owned by Handley. And there's also a Loudon library. So they all belong to the Handley division. Look at all the wonderful pictures. There's a dog here, and the cow, the marvelous, beautiful cow. And this must be young Jack. So, I'll just read very quickly the author's note. This book is based on the classic Jack and the Beanstalk in English fairy tales, which was edited by Joseph Jacobs in 1889. He informs us in the notes and references that I told this as it was told to me in Australia, somewhere about the year 1860. Although this retelling has been adapted for a contemporary picture book audience, it is faithful to the spirit of Joseph Jacobs' language, retaining some of the now remote phrases like start shop and words like peltered, a synonym for dashed, because of their contribution to the character and the color of the tale. That looks like a wizard of some sort. There's very American born with the stars and the stripes in red and blue. So, here it goes. There was once upon a time a poor widow who had an only son named Jack and a cow named Milky White, and all they had to live on was the milk the cow gave every morning. Which they carried to the market and sold. But one morning, Milky White gave no milk, and they didn't know what to do. "Cheer up, Mother. I'll go and get work somewhere," said Jack. "We've tried that before, and nobody would take you," cried his mother. "We must sell Milky White with a money start shop or something." On his way to the market, Jack met a funny-looking man. "Well, good morning, Jack," said he. "Good morning to you," said Jack, and he wondered how the man knew his name. "Can you tell me how many beans makes 5? said the man. "2 in each hand and 1 in your mouth," said Jack, sharp as a needle. "Right," said the man, "and as you're such a bright lad, I don't mind doing a swap with you. You're a cow for these magic beans." "Go along," said Jack. "Ah, but these are magical beans," said the man. "If you plant them tonight, by morning they grow right up into the sky." "Really?" said Jack. "Yes, and if it doesn't turn out to be true, You can have your cow back. Back already, Jack, said his mother. Tell me, how much did you get from Milky White? You'll never guess, Mother. Could it be 5 pounds? 10? 15? No, she cried. It can't be 20. I knew you couldn't guess. What do you say to these magical beans? Plant them tonight and... What? Said Jack's mother. Have you been such a dolt? Such an idiot as to give away my Milky White, the best milker in the parish, for a set of paltry beans? Off with you to bed, and as for your precious beans, here they go out the window. So Jack went upstairs to his little room in the attic, and sad and sorry as he was to be, sure as much as his mother's sake as for the loss of his supper, at the last he dropped off to sleep. Look at this wonderful explosion here, and it seemed to have startled this owl. And the cats. This cat here seems to be startled, but this one looks quite excited. When Jack woke up, he saw the beans had sprung up into a big beanstalk that went up and up and up till it reached the sky. So the old man spoke the truth after all. Jack gave a jump onto the beanstalk, and he climbed, 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 till at last he reached the sky. It's so pretty. I'm going to bring that a little closer so you can see. Beautiful picture. Jack walked along, and he walked along, and he walked along, till he came to a great big tall house, and on the doorstep was a great big tall woman. Good morning, Mum, said Jack. Could you be so kind as to give me some breakfast? It's breakfast you want, is it? Said the great big tall woman. It's breakfast you'll be if you don't move on. My man is an ogre, and there's nothing he likes better than broiled boys on toast. Oh, please, Mom, cried Jack. I've had nothing to eat since yesterday morning. Really and truly, Mum, I might as well be broiled as I die of hunger. Well, the ogre's wife was not half so bad after all. She took Jack into the kitchen and gave him some bread and cheese, when all of a sudden, thump, 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 the whole house began to tremble with the noise of someone coming. Goodness gracious me, said the ogre's wife. Come along quick, as she bundled Jack into the oven as the ogre came in. He was a big one, to be sure. Ah, wife, he said, what's this I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. Nonsense, dear, said his wife. You're dreaming. Or perhaps you smell the scraps of the boy you'd liked so much for yesterday's dinner. Here you go. Have a wash and tidy up, and by the time you come back, those calves will be broiled for your breakfast. Well, the ogre had his breakfast, and after that he went to a big chest and took out a couple of bags of gold, and down he sat and counted. At last his head began to nod, and he began to snore till the whole house shook again. Then Jack crept out of the oven, grabbed a bag of gold, and was off before he could say, "Jack Robinson." When Jack came to the beanstalk, he threw down the gold, which of course fell into his mother's garden. Then Jack climbed down. "Well, Mother," he said, "wasn't I right about the beans? They really are magical, you see." So they lived off the bag of gold for some time, but at last they came to the end of it, and Jack made up his mind to try his luck once more up at the top of the beanstalk. One fine morning he rose up early and jumped onto the beanstalk, and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and he walked and he walked and he walked, till at last he came to the great big tall house he had been to before. There, sure enough, standing on the doorstep, was the great big tall woman. "Go away, my boy," said the big tall woman, "or else my man will eat you up for breakfast." "But aren't you the youngster who came here once before? Do you know that very day my man missed one of his bags of gold?" "That's strange, Mum," said Jack, bold as brass. "I dare say I could tell you something about that, but I'm so hungry I can't speak till I've had something to eat." Well, the big, tall woman was so curious that she took him in again. All happened as it did before. Thump, thump, thump. They heard the ogre's footsteps, and his wife hid Jack away in the oven. "Fee, fi, fo, fum." After breakfast, the ogre said, "Wife, bring me the hen that laid the golden eggs." So she brought it, and the ogre said, "Lay," and it laid an egg all of gold. Soon the ogre began to nod his head and snore till the house shook. Then Jack tiptoed out of the oven, nabbed the golden hen, and off he peltered. But this time the hen gave a cackle and woke the ogre. And just as Jack got out of the house, he heard him roaring, "Wife, wife, what have you done with my golden hen?" When Jack got home, he showed his mother the wonderful hen and said, "Lay" to it, and it laid a golden egg every time he said "lay." Well, it wasn't very long before Jack decided once again to try his luck up at the top of the beanstalk. This time he knew better than to go straight to the ogre's house. When the big, tall woman came out with the pail, he crept into the house and got into the bread box. He hadn't been there long when he heard thump, 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 as before, and in came the ogre and his wife. "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. I smell him, wife, I smell him." "Do you, my dearie?" said the ogre's wife. Well, if it's that little rogue that stole your gold in the hen, then he's sure to have got into the oven. They both rushed to the oven, but Jack wasn't there. And the ogre's wife said, "There you are again with your fee-fi-fo-fum. Why, of course it's the boy you caught last night that I've just broiled for your breakfast," she said. "How forgetful am I, and how careless you are not to know the difference between live and dead after all these years." "Well, I could have sworn," muttered the ogre, and he searched at the larder and the cupboards and everything, only luckily he didn't think of the bread box. After his breakfast was over, the ogre called out, "Wife, bring me my golden harp." So she brought it, and he said, "Sing," and the golden harp sang most beautifully, and it went on singing till the ogre fell asleep and began to snore like thunder. Then Jack lifted the lid very quietly and crept like a mouse on his hands and knees till he came to the table, and up he curled and caught hold of the harp. But the harp called out, "Master, master," and the ogre woke up. Jack ran as fast as he could, and the ogre came rushing after. When the ogre saw Jack climbing down for dear life, he swung himself onto the beanstalk, which shook with his weight. Down climbed Jack, and after him climbed the ogre. Jack called out, "Mother, mother, bring me an axe." Jack's mother rushed out with an axe in her hand, and Jack gave a chop at the beanstalk, cutting it in two. The ogre fell down and broke his crown, and the beanstalk came tumbling after. What with showing the golden harp and selling the golden eggs, Jack and his mother became very rich. And Jack married a great princess, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. And then, now what I'm going to do is what I do to my son, and I give you a kiss on the forehead. Mwah. And I tuck you into bed, and I tell you, "Good night, little one. I love you. Sweet dreams." And I turn